Lives of the Presidents Told in Words of One Syllable by Jean S. Remy. Chapter 23. Benjamin Harrison. In the first part of this book you heard of a brave Indian fighter whose name was William Henry Harrison, and you saw this brave man mount step by step to the President's chair. It is his grandson, Benjamin Harrison, whom we now see President of the United States. He was born in his grandfather's home at North Bend, Indiana, on August 20th, 1833. There were no good schools near his home, so in a small log house at his grandfather's grounds he first went to school. He and a few other boys and girls were taught here by those whom the Harrisons hired. In this school the seats were of planks, laid on sticks that were stuck in holes in the floor. They had no backs, and were so high that the small boys and girls could not touch their feet to the floor. Only in the winter did this small boy go to school. In the summer he had work to do on the big farm. He did his work well, but he also learned to shoot, to fish, to swim, and to ride. He was much liked by all the boys, for he was full of sports and jokes. In 1820 he went to Miami College, and left in 1822 to study law. In one of his first cases the light was so dim that he could not see the notes he had made with such care. What should he do? There was but one thing he could do: fling to one side the notes and plead his case without any. This was a hard thing to do, but he did it so well that he won his case, and the great men of the day gave him much praise for his speech. When the Civil War broke out he raised a troop of men from his own state and was made the colonel of this band, which was called the 70th Indiana. He served for 2 years, and won fame in some of the great battles of the war. So brave was he at Resaca that he was made a brigadier general. Throughout the long years of war he was kind and good to the men in his care. They loved him well, and gave him the name of Little Ben. Not till the war was at an end did he leave the field. Then with much fame he went back home, and took up his work at law. He took a high place in his own state, and made some great speeches. It was now the year 1889. Just 100 years had passed since Washington, our first president, took his place as President of the United States, and the whole land thought it right to celebrate the date. So in New York City, on April 29th and 30th, was held the Washington Centennial. The city was hung from end to end with red, white, and blue. The grand good face of Washington, framed in the flag of the land, or wreathed in green, looked down on the gay scene. Rank by rank, the troops filed by amidst the shouts and cheers of the dense crowds that filled the streets, and looked from the windows of stores and houses. Rich and poor, great and small, kept this great day. The President and other great men from Washington were brought to the foot of Wall Street, on a barge hung with flags. Here all the ships of war were drawn up on each side, and as the party went to the spot where Washington took his oath of office, young girls clad in white cast flowers before them. As the troops filed past the President, one saw not just those from the north, but up from the south came hosts of men bearing the flags of their states, all glad to share in this great day of the nation. And there were men from across the seas, too. The Germans and the French marched side by side with the Americans. By night, fireworks and bonfires filled the streets with light, and blazed in beauty. No such great time had ever been known in this land, and this was as it should be, for it was all done for the great good man who had led our troops so well in our first war that he had made us free, and had then, by a wise and just rule, helped us to be the great, strong land that we are today. While Harrison was in office, work was begun for the World's Fair, which was held in Chicago in 1892, just 400 years since Columbus first saw America. Harrison went to Chicago and opened the fair with a speech on October 14, 1892, but folks could not go there till the next year. In 1893, Harrison went home to Indiana and took up his law work once more. He is still alive, is well known as a good lawyer, and has many warm friends among the great men of our day. We have seen that Grover Cleveland now became president. At the end of his 4 years, the Republicans put William McKinley in office. End of chapter 23.